On the morning of November 20, 1980, something impossible happened in Louisiana. A massive freshwater lake vanished within hours, swallowing boats, trees, and even an entire oil platform. The disaster was so sudden and intense that a fisherman witnessing the chaos screamed, "The end of the world is coming." What seemed like an unexplainable catastrophe was actually the result of a single mistake, an oil drill that punctured the wrong place, triggering an uncontrollable chain reaction. But how could an entire lake disappear? The answer lies hidden beneath the surface, in a massive salt cavern that completely collapsed. That day, Texaco's oil drilling crew was working on Lake Peigneur, searching for oil. Everything seemed routine until, suddenly, they noticed something alarming. The drill was stuck. They tried to free it, but it wouldn't budge. Something was terribly wrong beneath the surface. Minutes later, the ground beneath the lake began to shake. Loud underground explosions echoed, and the platform started tilting dangerously. The terrified workers jumped into the water to save themselves. Then, the unthinkable happened. A gigantic whirlpool started forming in the center of the lake, swallowing everything in its path. Within minutes, the lake's water began swirling with terrifying force. What had once been a calm freshwater body transformed into a monstrous vortex. Boats, docks, and entire trees were sucked down with no chance of escape. The current was so powerful that it even reversed the flow of a 19-meter-deep canal, pulling salt water from the Gulf of Mexico into the lake. Texaco's $5 million oil platform completely vanished. 11 barges were swallowed by the vortex. A massive section of Jefferson Island collapsed into the lake. The worst part? There was no way to stop it. The water kept vanishing into the bottomless abyss. But what was causing this disaster? The answer was hidden beneath the lake. Hundreds of meters below the surface lay a gigantic salt dome, a geological formation created millions of years ago. These structures can stretch for kilometers and often contain massive underground caverns. For decades, salt mining companies had carved enormous tunnels beneath the lake. Texaco's drill accidentally punctured the roof of one of these caverns. This created a breach, allowing lake water to flood into the tunnel system, completely destabilizing it. As the water rushed into the mine, the pressure caused the ceiling to collapse, triggering the massive vortex on the surface. When it was all over, Lake Peigneur would never be the same. Its depth increased from just 3 meters to over 60 meters, making it the deepest lake in Louisiana. The freshwater was completely replaced by saltwater from the Gulf of Mexico. The lake's ecosystem was utterly destroyed. However, something even stranger happened days later. 9 of the 11 barges swallowed by the whirlpool mysteriously reappeared, as if the lake had spit them out. The consequences of the disaster were devastating. Hundreds of miners and oil industry workers lost their jobs. Local fishermen saw their livelihoods destroyed as the lake's ecosystem collapsed. Texaco and Diamond Crystal Salt were taken to court for the damages. Texaco was found guilty of drilling in the wrong location and had to pay $45 million in damages. But the damage was already done. The lake would never be the same. Decades later, Lake Peigneur remains a dangerous and controversial place. Since 1994, the lake has been used to store natural gas in underground caverns. Thousands of residents have protested against this practice, fearing new collapses. The risk of another disaster remains, but companies insist it is safe. Despite its tragic history, Lake Peigneur continues to be exploited, and the fear among residents has never gone away. Even after 40 years, local residents still fear history will repeat itself. Drilling and gas storage have weakened the ground. Geologists have warned that the land remains unstable. A new collapse could affect not just the lake, but the entire surrounding region. Similar disasters have happened elsewhere in Louisiana. In 2012, a massive sinkhole in Bayou Corn forced hundreds of people to evacuate their homes. Scientists say that salt domes are essential for industry, but if not handled carefully, they can become deadly traps. Louisiana has more than 200 active salt caverns. Many are used for storing oil, gas, and industrial waste. If one of them collapses, the damage could be even worse than at Lake Peigneur. The government has imposed stricter regulations, but many believe it's only a matter of time before another disaster occurs. Lake Peigneur not only changed physically but also became a warning symbol about the dangers of uncontrolled underground exploitation. Companies are still looking for ways to extract resources from the area. Residents continue to fight for the safety of the region. Every time there is minor seismic activity, fears resurface. The balance between industry and safety remains a constant battle in Louisiana. Lake Peigneur isn't the only area at risk. There are other places in Louisiana where similar disasters could happen. At least 27 caverns have been identified as being too close to the safety limit. Some have already shown signs of structural weakening. A collapse in an urban area could have catastrophic consequences. Despite these findings, the exploitation of these salt domes continues with little regulation. People living near Lake Peigneur have spent years demanding answers and stricter protections. Experts have warned about the risks of continuing gas storage in the area. Residents fear another accident could affect not just the lake, but their homes. So far, there has been little action to ensure the community's safety. For many, the Lake Peigneur disaster was a warning that the government and companies have chosen to ignore. Despite the destruction, nature has found a way to adapt. Marine life has begun to colonize the lake. Saltwater fish have replaced the original freshwater species. The remains of the old oil platform now serve as an artificial reef. But the balance is fragile. Any new collapse could change the lake's ecosystem once again. The debate over Lake Peigneur's safety continues to divide opinions. Companies insist that storing gas in salt domes is completely safe. Residents believe the risks are being ignored to maximize profits. Scientists warn that it's impossible to predict when another collapse might happen. Is the community's safety being protected, or is money still the top priority? Lake Peigneur remains a reminder of the dangers of underground exploitation. Companies continue operating in the area despite the risks. Residents demand deeper studies to prevent another tragedy. Minor seismic activity is constantly monitored for signs of a new collapse. But as long as companies keep drilling, the possibility of another disaster will never fully disappear. Lake Peigneur is a testament to what happens when greed and negligence challenge nature. A simple miscalculation changed an ecosystem forever. Decades later, the area continues to be exploited as if nothing happened. The balance between development and safety remains unresolved. Will we learn from this disaster, or will we simply wait for the next one? If you enjoyed this video and want more impactful stories like this, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. See you in the next video. Take care.